Good afternoon. My name is Hina Musabji. I'm the legal director at CAIR-Chicago. That is HEENA-MUSABJI. Today, we have gathered to speak on the verdict of the trial of Joseph Czuba, the man who brutally and heinously attacked Hanan Shaheen and murdered Wadee Al Fayoumi. Today's verdict is a testament of our system of justice. We thank the Will County Courthouse and the sheriff, and foremost, we thank the justice system on its ruling of guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder and hate crimes. This is the most heinous of hate crimes to impact Chicago's Muslim community in recent history. Muslim hate crimes in Chicago and surrounding areas have increased by almost 200% since October 7th, 2023. The numbers are underreported, and mostly because law enforcement will often decline to classify the incident as a hate crime. As Americans, we believe in the right to our own opinions, but we also collectively do not believe in a society of hate that can lead to crimes as heinous as the one committed by Joseph Czuba against a 6-year-old boy and his mother. Today, our justice system has spoken. There is no room for hate in our country and communities. I would like to bring in Ahmed Rahab, the Executive Director at CAIR-Chicago, for further comment.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. My name is Ahmed Rahab, A-H-M-E-D-R-E-H-A-B, the Executive Director of CAIR-Chicago, and I'm joined to my right by Wadee Al Fayoumi, the father of the late Wadee Al Fayoumi, who will give comments after I am done, and I will translate his comments, which will be in Arabic. I want to reiterate our thanks to the Will County Sheriff's Office that has been extremely professional and competent from the very beginning to the very end. I want to thank the State Attorney's Office and the State Attorneys that did a fabulous job in their prosecution. And last but not least, our justice system, which has proven once again that justice will be served and that hate crimes and murder crimes have no room in our community, in our society. We are obviously pleased with the results. The fact that he was found guilty on all the charges is no surprise to us. This was a very clear-cut case. And this is a case that shook up the Muslim community, the Palestinian community, and really Chicagoland, Illinois, and the nation, maybe even the world at large. This is one of the worst hate crimes that have been committed in recent memory that targeted an innocent 6-year-old boy, a kindergartner, and his mother. The boy was stabbed 26 times, as you've heard repeatedly. You can imagine the brutality of the scene. It was very difficult for the parents to have to live through the details, the gruesome details, so our heart goes out to them. 26 times brutalized in the safety and sanctity of his own home, simply and only because he was Muslim and Palestinian. That is what Joseph Czuba yelled as he stabbed at them: Muslims must die. And so it is important for me to take a moment to talk about the context of this crime, because otherwise, if we don't reflect and ruminate on the context and the environment that allowed this crime to happen, he would have died in vain. And I think I'm not speaking out of line. I think the family feels the same way, that all the way up to the President of the United States at the time, President Biden, there is culpability. When the president came out and reiterated unfounded claims that 40 babies were decapitated, that they were basically beheaded by Palestinians, this was part of the radicalization process of Joseph Czuba. That's what he was reacting to, these unfounded claims. Watching CNN around the clock, the way that the media covered the conflict, showing only one side of what was happening, and not at all showing the humanity and the suffering and the reality of the Gazans on the ground who are losing life, limb, property, infrastructure, houses by the tens of thousands, as it were. And to this day, unfortunately, with the current administration, we still feel that there isn't any accountability for the crimes that occurred against humanity. The ethnic cleansing, as a matter of fact, with the recent ridiculous ideas coming out of the White House with the whole Trump plan for Gaza, there is a furtherance of this dehumanization and a call for ethnic cleansing out loud and clearly, removing people from their homeland and throwing them somewhere else so that we can build casinos and whatever else he has up his sleeve. That is extremely offensive and ridiculous, and it is part of that larger context in which weak hearts are radicalized that can commit crimes like this. And so today, as justice is served, we remember the life of Wadee Al Fayoumi, the smiles, the laughter, the toys that he played with, the Lego, the soccer. We remember him as an angel that has left us and is now in heaven with his Lord. And we tell ourselves we can do better. We can do better as a community. We can do better as media. We can do better as political leaders. When we talk about issues around the world, we talk responsibly and we talk with accountability and we give a full and deep picture of what is happening so that the ignorant and those who don't know amongst us are better informed about the facts on the ground. I now invite Wadee Al Fayoumi. Please begin by spelling your name.
Wadee Al Fayoumi, Odai Alfayoumi.
تفضل. I will translate for him.
أول شيء السلام عليكم.
Peace be upon you.
أنا مش عارف بصراحة لازم أكون مبسوط هلا ولا لازم أكون زعلان. أنا شايف الكل بيحكي لي ابتسم واضحك. يمكن لو أنا واحد منكم بضحك معاكم، بس أنا لأني والد الطفل أنا حاسس إنه القرار هذا إجا متأخر.
I don't know if I should be pleased or upset, if I should be crying or laughing. People are telling me to smile. Maybe if I were one of you, I would be smiling, but I'm the father of the child, and I've lost the child, and I feel like this decision came a little too late.
بس ما بقدر أحكي غير إنه شكرا لكم، شكرا لكل حدا تابع الموضوع وما زال بتابع الموضوع. شكرا لكل الجالية العربية اللي دعمتني ووقفت جنبي. شكر خاص لعائلتي وللسيد أحمد رحاب، أصدقائي اللي صاروا أعز من إخواني لأنهم ما تركوني ولا لحظة. وبتمنى إنه الموقف هذا يكون آخر موقف يعني بيصير بأي طفل في العالم مش بس في أطفالنا، والحمد لله على كل حال.
And yet, all I can say is thank you. Thank you to the justice system. Thank you to you members of the media for being here. Thank you to all those who supported me, to the attorneys, to CAIR-Chicago, to my family, to the Arab community. And I pray that this loss, this senseless loss, is the last that we will see, that no child would suffer what my beloved Wadee had to go through.
والسلام عليكم.
And peace be upon you. I would now like to bring to the podium Amina Barhoumi with the Muslim Civic Coalition.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amina Barhoumi, spelled AMINA-BARHUMI, last name Barhoumi. While we're grateful for the verdict, we know and recognize that this moment needs to be also a commitment towards working towards justice. Hanan is a mother like myself, is a grieving mother. As we just heard, Wadee Al Fayoumi, a grieving father. No verdict is going to bring their son back. No court ruling can undo the pain of losing a child to a hate crime. On October 14th, 2023, we all knew what this meant for our community. Wadee, the 6-year-old boy, was the first hate crime of October 2023, the first on American soil. And the reality remains that we woke up this morning, and the circumstances of our world is no safer than it was on October 14th. Our children and our families and our community still face threats. And this courtroom decision, while welcome, does not dismantle the systems that allow this hate to fester. And so hate, as mentioned before, is fueled by dehumanizing rhetoric, whether from the White House, from legislators, or the media. And our leaders must do better. The media, you all must do better. And we as communities must do better. Our data must look better. And we want to be able to make sure that reporting on hate crimes, which is underreported in Muslim and Arab communities, is one that changes. Reporting to organizations like CAIR, like the ADC, other civil rights organization, like the CDHC here in Illinois, helps us to be able to dismantle these systems that we are within. Led by our former staff member, Maria Muzaffar, and alongside allies and partners, the Muslim Civic Coalition introduced the Wadee Al resolution at the federal level, which passed the Senate. And this is a resolution that honored Wadee Al's story and his Palestinian and Muslim heritage, to be able to ensure that his identity and his name remains in history. Hanan's testimony earlier this week was a reminder that hate crimes are not just statistics, that they are real. And in addition to the federal resolution, we're also working to pass the Wadee Al commemoration in the Illinois state legislature. This Wadee Al resolution needs to be passed in 10 more states. His name needs to remain in our memories to be able to make sure, as the father just mentioned, that no other child is murdered in this way. And this fight is bigger than all of us. And we stand in solidarity with those that fight with us against hatred. And justice is not just about what happens in the courtroom. At sunset tonight, as was shared for those who were here during our Jummah prayer, is that we're called to reflect and we're called to turn inward. But it's also Ramadan at sundown tonight that begins is also a time of action. It's a moment to grieve Wadee Al, but it's a moment to also ask, what are we doing to ensure that Wadee Al is the last? And hate is relentless, but we must be just as fierce and stronger. And transformation begins with us and our relationships with each other. So it's our responsibility to hold leaders accountable, to hold our legislators accountable, to hold each other accountable. And silence is not an option. And so may we be able to build a future for all of us that is safe, in which we can all thrive. Inshallah. Ameen. Thank you so much.
I'd also like to announce that we're working with community members in the city of Plainfield on having a memorial for Wadee Al Fayoumi right here in the city of Plainfield in the form of renaming a kids park and putting up a motif, a statue of Wadee Al Fayoumi, which details will be announced soon. To conclude, as you've heard, the real culprit in this crime is hate. This wasn't a crime committed because of personal beef between the parties. This wasn't a crime committed with burglary or any personal interest in mind. It was simply hate. And so we have to ask the question, why does hate occur? Who feeds into hate? Who nurtures hate? Who allows hate to fester? And who works actively against it? And that's the question before all of us, media, politicians, and community activists. Thank you very much, and I now ask you if you have any questions. We'll be glad to answer.
I did have a question for you. Please feel free to share a few more comments. First, I wanted to know who you're here with, and just how was it being in the courtroom? Being in the courtroom with Joseph Czuba, being in the courtroom and seeing the image and hearing the things that you heard.
ترجم بدي شتعك
بتقول لك كيف احساسك كان عامل ازاي وانت بتسمع الكلام دوت والراجل ده موجود قدامك؟
أول إشي إحساسي كان كتير صعب لأنه كنت حاسس في دائما مقارنة بيني وبينه.
It was very difficult. I felt there was always a contrast between me and him.
أنا باجي ممنوع أحط إيدي على البارتيشن قدامي وهو كان امبارح كان قاعد رجليه على الطاولة. بلس إنه بيجي لابس بدلة. مش معاملة مجرم يعني مش عارف يعني أنا بتذكر وقفوني الشرطة عشان ما كان معي انشورنس حطوا كلبشات في إيدي وحطوني عملوني بطريقة مش حلوة يعني.
He says he felt the irony of how he's been treated as an Arab brown man in this country and how this white defendant was treated. He was afforded respect. He came in a suit. He put his leg up. Him driving down the street, he could be pulled over and given a ticket and handcuffed for the slightest of perceived infractions.
وهذا قاتل، ومع هيك كانوا محترمينه بطريقة إنه لابس أواعي نظيفة، بلس إنه لما دخل على السجن يعني منظره كان مش حضاري، شعره طويل ومبهدل. فهلا لما بيجي على الجلسات حاطط عطر، يعني مش عارف، فكرت أنا أنحبس.
He said, this is just a thought in my mind, but as I look at him, he looks better now than when he entered into the justice system. That he entered disheveled, now he's more upkept, and that he's being treated with a certain level of respect that some of us minorities in this society are not afforded on a day-to-day basis, and that thought was very prominent in my mind.
And what do you want us to know about Wadee?
عاوزنا نعرف ايه عن وديع.
ما في إشي زيادة لازم يعرفوه عن وديع غير إنه إن شاء الله اسمه صار موجود في كل أمريكا يعني. فأنا مش عارف، أنا اكتشفت ابني جديد. يعني أنا بكفيني فخرا إنه الولد اللي عمره 6 سنوات كان مخوف واحد عمره 72 سنة لدرجة إنه فكر إنه يقتله. إيش أكثر من هيك فخر.
He said that there isn't much more to say about Wadee other than what's been said about what he loved and what he did and things that have been out there in the public. But that for me as a father, I feel like I'm discovering Wadee and learning about Wadee more every day. And suffice for me as a father to know that his pride in being who he was as a Palestinian, as a Muslim, as an Arab, and being killed and targeted for that was sufficient for him to live through, even though it caused his death. And that for me, I will always remember him with pride as a son.
And who is he here to?
مين اللي معك دول؟
هذول عمي وبنت عمتي.
This is his uncle and his niece. I also want to mention that Hanan could not be with us. The moment proved too difficult for her. But on her behalf, she thanks everyone who stood by her and her family, and that she says that she only prays for peace and love. Yes?
My question goes to basically, what do you think of Czuba's attorney basically insinuating that she had no motherly instinct and that somehow she could have been behind this?
I'm glad you asked that question, because that was a surreal moment for me. I'll speak for myself. I couldn't believe that this was being said. But you know what? It hearkened to a talking point out there in the media and in the public that is part of the dehumanization of Palestinians that tends to justify their genocide in some people's minds. And that talking point is they put up their children as human shields. This process of dehumanization, that Palestinian mothers are different than any other mother out there just because they're Palestinian. They're less than human. Every mother in the world knows the instinct of protecting their child, but somehow as a Palestinian mother, they put up their children for whatever little gain attributed to their murder, media attention, pity, this or that. So I think in lockstep to that, the defense counsel suggested that Hanan either killed her child or allowed him to be killed for a potential civil suit that can happen later, which really harkened back to that devastating and bigoted talking point about Palestinian mothers. So it was very unbecoming. And I also want to correct something on the record. He mentioned, he objected to the state attorney by saying that she had already retained a civil attorney prior to this incident. That is factually incorrect. I was the one, yours truly was the one, to introduce her to civil attorney, and that was months after the incident. And she had never known an attorney before that. Any other questions?
Anyone else care to share how they're feeling about the verdict?
Good.
عندكم منكم يا اخواتي؟
This would be an opportunity for people to hear your voice.
تحبي تقولي حاجة؟ اتفضلي.
أنا؟
Yes.
Yeah.
مش عارف.
Okay. Okay.
أنا؟
كمان
Say
إحساس.
your name and spell it, the relationship with your son.
My name is Hala Yusuf, Helayousef. I'm the cousin of Wadee Al Fayoumi. I'm satisfied that he got justice, and I'm happy that we were able to come to this verdict. I'm kind of sad that it came a year and a half late, but either way, satisfied with today. So, thank you.
Is there anything you want us to remember about Wadee?
Wadee, he was a fantastic boy. My last memory of him was him getting to my bed and cuddling, and us watching, like an educational video. It was kind of boring, but it was a positive memory I'll never forget. And he was just amazing.
And that you and your family had to be here. Just how you feeling after sitting through all this?
I'm not gonna lie, when we got the verdict, I kind of felt my body fall. I was relaxed. I was kind of tense in the beginning. I was kind of scared. But I'm so thankful for CAIR. I'm so thankful for the people who supported my cousin and my family. And I am very honored to be a Palestinian and a Muslim at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I just want to close with a personal reflection, which really I haven't had the opportunity to do because ever since this fell on us a year and a half ago, we've been running around, doing the work that needs to be done. But, personally, I have 3 young boys, 6, 8, and 10. And, all of us who are parents, who are Arab, who are Palestinian, I happen to be Egyptian-American, who are Muslim, we all saw our children die in Wadee Al Fayoumi. Because this could have been any one of our boys, any one of our girls. It just so happened that it was Wadee Al Fayoumi. But when he was targeted, all of our children were targeted. Every Muslim was targeted when he yelled, "All Muslims must die." And Wadee happened to be the sacrificial lamb. But he wasn't targeted for Wadee. He was targeted for who he was as a Palestinian, as a Muslim. And so we were all targeted that day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
احنا اللي معانا
Inside. Wow.